Hello everyone, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. This is Steve coming back with another video. I know it's been a long time in the making, and usually at this time we have a machine language hangout or stream going on through Google Hangouts. As of right now, based on what I'm learning, if you guys notice and you've been following obviously the stream, that we had a new person that had joined us not too long ago. His name is Siggy, and he's like an Australian guy or whatever. He's got some family things going on right now, so I don't really know where that's going right now. I'm still in communication with him. He said he didn't really have a lot of time to look at the code, but he's going to try to get to it. So hopefully we'll, get that rolling again really soon. But for tonight, to kind of fill in the blanks here a little bit, I wanted to finally introduce you to something I've been waiting on for a very long time. And I've talked about this, and actually from the very first videos I ever posted on YouTube all the way back even in 2008 when I first started this channel. And that was if I could ever figure out a way to get all of my disks or whatever and get them transferred onto the desktop. That was one of my original visions, and I wanted to be able to accomplish that. Obviously a lot of people mentioned different things during the time, and came across the Ultimate, there was the Ultimate 2 or whatever, that cartridge that plugs in the back of your computer. That was about $170 or even more by the time they shipped it overseas or whatever. So I looked at a lot of options, and I thought that's a great thing to get. And I did originally set up to order it, but I couldn't get, for some reason they put me on the list and I never heard back from them. And one day I was just strolling on eBay, and I happened to come across this little thing right here, which you've seen videos. There's already videos on the Commodore 64 for this. This is called the SDrive 1564. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see it there. Now, what's really cool about this thing is it's actually got its own built-in LCD. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, but it's got a built-in LCD directly on the top of the computer. I can grab my camera just a second and show it to you there. So you can kind of see it there. My camera focuses. Currently, what it's set is it's looking directly, and I got some little glaring on there. It's set directly looking at the iDrive there, and it's actually looking at the D64 file, which, on my channel I use Vice C64 for the basic programming and machine language programs, and just learning from the examples and stuff online, and also plugging those directly into CV and PRG Studio and whatnot. But anyways, I wanted to show you this really, really cool drive. If you look at it, it's kind of a miniature Commodore 64 drive. You can already see I've got the original drive here. And in comparison, you can kind of see the size. This thing's obviously a lot more smaller. Don't underestimate it. It's actually really powerful in what it does. Now, I'm not a hardware person. I can't really explain all the core components, but there are actually some really good tech specs that were actually even included with the actual package of the product when I actually received it. And I actually got it from Hungary. Now, I ordered this thing back all the way, I believe it was around December 15th or something like that. It might have been earlier than that. And for some reason, they didn't get my drive on time. There was a delay, he said. And then later I found out what happened is he had put the wrong address on it. His wife, he said, had done it. And eventually, I guess they had to go ahead and cancel the order or something. And then they reordered it again. And then I was trying to communicate with them for the longest time. I couldn't hear anything back, and I was almost ready to set up a dispute through eBay, since I purchased it through eBay, and that's under buyer's grievance and stuff like that. So at this point, I decided, I'll just kind of wait it out, a little bit longer. I kept checking my mail. I can't tell you how many times I check my mail every day, just like, where is this thing? Where is this thing? And then one day, lo and behold, I go to my mailbox, and what do you know? I was shocked. I go in my mailbox, there's a little slip of paper, and it tells me that I need to actually go ahead, pick this thing up. They wouldn't even deliver it to my address for whatever reason. I don't know if they needed a signature. So this is kind of a journey. I actually had to go all the way to the post office, which isn't too far. It's about 20 minutes from here. I had to go and pick it up at the post office. And finally I got the package, I brought it home, and I go to look at it. And keep in mind, this is from Hungary, so it's European. So what do you think? The next thing, I'm going to plug this for a second, just to show you. This is a surprise I got, which you've probably already seen this. People already talked about this on YouTube, but this is actually a European adapter, if you can kind of see it there. It's got the little 3 prongs. Now in the US, you can't use something like this. You can't plug it into the strip. It just isn't going to work. So what I had to eventually do in due time is go out and buy a plug for it. So the thing is, somebody actually, before I show you this, somebody on eBay recommended, actually Darren recommended me to go ahead and order one through Amazon. And I actually set up an order there, and I remember I set it up and I waited probably a good, I don't know, it was a couple of days or so, and finally I got a rejection, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I went back in and I tried to order again, and then finally I learned what it was, is you actually, for this product, for some reason, this purchase I was doing in Amazon required a minimum $25 purchase. That means in addition to the adapter, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, you also had to purchase up to $25 to get this item. I don't know if it's because it would cost more to ship it or what it was, but I was like, that was pretty depressing. So finally, I started, and this was all in a matter of almost a month and a half that this is all happening. Finally, I decided that maybe there's a shop around here or somebody that might carry it. I mean, this is I'm sure there's, and I researched on the internet. I found out it's not just this device alone that people have the European adapters for. People order stuff from countries all the time. And obviously there must be some kind of converters out there, because there's people who order, just different, toasters or whatever it is, coffee makers from other countries, and they have that really strange plug, which is actually a 12 volt, by the way. And there's very few adapters that will actually accommodate that. Like mine were mostly all 9 volts, so they didn't even work for it, or input 9 volt. So finally, I went to Best Buy this morning. I actually work night shifts, so this was kind of a sacrifice for me because I stay up half the night. So I had to sit there and actually sacrifice part of my night to get some sleep. I got up and I drove all the way out to a long place in Arizona called Santan Parkway. It's actually the Santan, I don't know what they call it, the mall or whatever. It was just basically a giant place of gathering of stores, like a giant lot or whatever. And I actually finally went in and I bought this, and it was only because of somebody on YouTube, I think it's called the Retro Gamer or whatever. He has about 327 subscribers, and I don't know if he does a lot of videos, but he had one where he showed the SDrive, and he was using it to show you, how you got to plug it into an actual adapter. So this is what I actually ended up purchasing. And if you can kind of see this, now he showed it for a second. I wanted to show it a little bit better so you can kind of get an idea. If you purchase this overseas, you want to make sure it looks like this. So it's got those prongs on it. And, it's got like this one I've got here. It's a little bit more costly though. It's got little switches on the side here. If you move these in and out like this, for example, you get different, like for example, right there, you've already got the European plug. If you needed to use that for the European plug, you pull that back in. And if you pull another one out there, I think you have to pull them all in first like that. And you pull another one out there, like that, for example, you got some other kind of, I don't know what kind of plug that is. I'll try to get a little closer to the camera. My camera's at a weird angle there. You can kind of see it. And then finally, I was like, where is the one I'm looking for? And the girls like pushed one more, and there it was. There's the USA plug. Finally, I was able to plug this thing in, and you just take this in, real simple, and you just plug it right into there if you want to see it. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just plug it into the 3 prongs. I may have it upside down here. I think I do. And it kind of goes like that into it. You see how it's going at the top? And you just take the prong, you just kind of plug it in there to the top. And actually, there it goes. You got to kind of wiggle it in there. I think you kind of lock it in too and whatever. And it stays in like that. And then from there, it'll plug right into your outlet there. And lo and behold, when I finally plugged it in, which I'm going to plug it in here for a second. You gotta lock this on first, and you kind of push it down. I think it kind of locks. You push this thing all the way down here at the bottom on this one, and it kind of locks it in there. If you leave it up like that, it doesn't lock it, so that it stays inside of the prong there. And I plugged it in. I think I got it backward here. So plug it in again, and you'll see the light. Now, the guy on the Retro Gamer, whatever his name was, he actually ended up only paying like $10 at Best Buy. He said. I had to pay a little bit more. I had to pay $32 for mine for tax and everything. But I was like, oh, well, it's better than trying to order something online, even though it was only going to be $25. What were the chances of me ordering it and finding out it doesn't even work? So I wasn't going to take that chance. I was already done with it. I was like, I want this thing working. Now, the thing is, really getting to me is I hope this is going to accomplish what I'm looking for. Now, the majority of people who actually order these do this so that they can take games from that are downloaded on the internet, and they basically transfer them over so that you can run them on the actual Commodore 64 and play them. I'm okay with that too, but being an actual, developer, programmer, whatever you want to call me, I wanted to be able to take my programs, like I said, from my floppy disk and be able to get them onto the desktop so we can run them in Vice, and I could show you some of the programs I've worked on. And I've got, this whole thing right here is just full. If you can see, these are full of all software programs that I had actually created all the way back from 1989 and going forward there. So a lot of them are very basic. They're real simple examples. There's some other stuff in the machine language examples. Nothing really too interesting probably, but it was more for my own part to see if I could, recapture my youth and just bring my stuff back and everything. And finally, when I got this thing and I started playing with it this night, I found out, yes, it actually worked. I did a real simple test program, and I had to sit there and create a D64 file, which I'll show all of you that here in a minute, directly on the Commodore 6, inside of Vice there. Once I was able to do that, then I was able to take that program, copy it into the D64 directory onto here, of course, and then from there, what it does, I didn't mention, but it actually uses what's called an SD card, which I already have plugged into my unit. So you can I don't know if you can see this at the side. This is where I plugged it directly in. This, I can't really stretch that very far, but this is where I got the little SD plugged in, and it kind of plugs right into my computer. This is just one of those things that I guess I'll have to turn this one a little bit to show it to you. This is just something I had for many, many years. It, just plugs into really simple SD card. You can get one of these. I don't know what this one is. It just says Dynix or whatever. This is an older one. But yeah, I got that, and then it takes this little SD card there. So the thing they also recommend, make sure it's formatted in 32. The format. So you have to format them first. If you don't, you could probably still get away with it, but they recommend to format them. Okay, so, and then obviously you just take the little drive, and you just plug it in like that, and it just plugs into a simple, and you kind of I push my finger down until it snaps in like that. Now it's kind of locked in, and then whatnot. Now it doesn't change the status display or anything. This is only when you're issuing commands to the device, but, you just it sits in there. It will give you errors when you're trying to do stuff with it, and you try to read it and it's not there. Which is really cool is this LCD display will actually tell you what's going on. Now, I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll probably have to move my camera in again. Let me just see if I can move up my desktop a little bit. Maybe that'll do it. That's a little bit better. You can kind of see it says SDrive 1564. You see that it says ready, and it says colon. It says 10. The 10 is representing the drive. And why is that? Because on the back here, there's actually a switch, a dip switch, or whatever you would call it, which actually allows you, I have it currently set to drive 10 by moving it down. If you move it up, it's a default of 8, which is the standard for the Commodore 64 itself. So once I had that set, then what I could do is I could take, copy programs directly from my regular 1541 over to the 1564 with ease. That way you don't have to sit there, keep copying this and switching it back or whatever. So let's get this going here. And before I mention that, also, to go over a few things, there are some other examples on YouTube where there's this SD2 IEC. It's actually a smaller drive, and those smaller ones, I've noticed they don't even come with the LCD panel. Somebody mentioned that it was kind of interesting. I had the one. I was like, I didn't even notice it until somebody mentioned it. I was like, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Now I realize how cool this thing is. It really keeps track of the status of what's going on, and you can kind of, the unit's basically telling you what's happening to it without you trying to sit there and play with the directories, figuring out what's really happening with the computer. So, anyways, that's the kind of comparison between them, I think, is that, and I think they both kind of do the same thing. I don't really know if there's much as a speed, but pretty much they're all the same thing. They carry the SD card or whatever. You can go ahead and search. It's called the SD2 IEC, and the whole purpose, as I mentioned, was to show you. Now, I probably really show you over here, but I'm going to show you on the Vice, for example. I'm going to switch over to the Vice screen, and then we'll pretend we're looking at this screen over here. But I already do have this game running in the background, and I've also managed to copy it directly over to my Commodore 64. So let me pull up that for a second here. I'm going to pause here just for a quick moment. Okay, so I'm back on the desktop here now. Also, what I wanted to mention before I go into the Vice stuff is this has already been shown on YouTube or whatever, but I wanted to show you, most importantly, you can download some software to use this if you're interested in buying this. And you want to go to SDrive 1564.com, and this one is just /downloads.html, but you can get here from the home screen just by, it'll start and he'll kind of tell you about, the device itself. And you can just go over here, see some pictures or whatever, of the device, what it kind of looks like. And then you want to go to downloads. And in the downloads, you can download the manual, which we'll go here in a second. The CBM browser file manager, this is if you want to be able to access all the programs that he has actually, from what I've seen on YouTube, he actually has a lot of games actually built directly inside of this, and he's basically embedded them inside of this little program that he's created called the CBM file browser. And then you've also got a fast loader here. You've got a disk file copy, which I haven't really checked out, but I'll be doing that later when I want to copy some of my Lodestar stuff, because a lot of them had used file compression, and I won't be able to, emulate that in any way unless I, use this tool. So you've also got the SJ load and just different utilities here, and stuff you can check out or whatever. But the most important thing is you want to get the manual, which we'll click here in a second. You want to get the file browser and the file copier. The fast loader is if you want to kind of speed up the games. It's totally up to you, but he does already have included in here. So anyway, so let's click on the manual here real quick. Now, I just got this device, I just got it working today, so I haven't really had a whole time to really, absorb all this and look it over, but I do know how to work it from a basic perspective. And I thought it was enough to send up a video since I'm long overdue for a video anyway. But maybe we'll include some more videos later as I get more advanced with it. But essentially, what you do is you have lights, like I said, that kind of manage the device itself, and he talks all about here. The green light obviously just represented the power light or whatever. And then the red light whenever it's, I believe when it's like, reading the disk information or whatever from the disk images and all that. And he talks about that right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to zoom in this just a little bit there. And we'll get to the Vice-C64 stuff in just a moment. So here's where he's talking about you want to do a full format in F30, FAT32. And then also he's talking about the D64 files can be copied by PC. The file names can be longer. He's got to put some standard stuff in there for people who want to know about the copying process. Now this I haven't got yet. He says something about left button. You can step forward inside of the directories and you can go backward. Now I kept clicking on the buttons and I didn't see anything happening. I don't know if there's something I still need to set up or something I haven't learned yet. So to be continued for that, I guess, for now. But anyways, the red light is called the error warning system. It tells you, if there's something going on, if it's available, like I showed you, it'll say the LCD will show ready or whatever. I mean, the LED light is just a flashing light. It's just pretty much, I think it just copies what the 1541's already doing. And except for the exception of, like, if you take the SD card out and you try to read it, it'll throw an error message. I think it's error 74 or whatever. And just everything else is kind of standard from what I know here. I showed you about the device settings on the back. These are the identifiers to tell you which device you're using on your computer, and I have mine set to 8 and 10, so I can easily swap between them. And also, a lot of this other stuff is probably talk about the LCD functions or whatever. Shows you the status when it's loading. You can see the file name as it's loading. I think that's really cool because you can actually tell what program it's actually using and utilizing at the moment. And these are just some of the error messages: write protect on, file not found, or whatever. And just some of the standard commands: the load $string, $8 to get the directory we know. In this case, I'll be doing load $10 because we're using device 10, of course. And here's how you actually access the directories. You can change directories or whatever. You have to use the cd/directory. But I'll show you the one I may be using, because this is just kind of if you want to reset the directory. I just simply use this one right here to make it real simple right here. Now I changed mine, and I'll explain why again here if you haven't caught on already. So 1, 8, 15 CD. And then you want to name whatever the D64 file, the disk image file that you're using for Vice in this case. You want to make sure to change this device to reflect what setting you set on that dip switch or that device setting. In this case, mine's 10, so it'll be 1, 10, 15. And then at that point, it'll access the drive. Now, what's really cool is you can also just leave it at 1, 8,15, and that's actually going to access the regular 1541. So you can sit there and go load, quote, $, comma 8 to get the regular 1541, and you can do the other to get obviously the 1564. So that's really cool. You just have two different drives there. Some of this other stuff, this is showing like how to load games. This is kind of standard stuff for people who want to load a game or whatever. Is this just the file name, comma the device? In this case, we'd be using comma 10 or whatever your device setting is. Now, it'll always tell you, remember, I'll try to zoom in again just in case you missed it here. Oh, actually, I'll probably have to enlarge this just for a second here. It'll always show you, I'm going to use my little mouse there for a second. If I can get this to, okay, I got to move it to my monitor again and closer here. Show it to you. Just to make sure you can see this here. So I'm going to move it till down. You see it says ready, :10. It'll always show you the device that it's actually set on those dip switches. So whatever device you have for that is what you're going to use for that load $, comma 8. And you're going to insert, instead, you're going to use that device number. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, so here's how to just mount the back to the parent directory. And then it's just talking about some of the standard stuff with the SD. This is where it's talking about SD adapter card supports the operation list files as well. I haven't really got into all this stuff yet. Just showing you some of the game examples that, these are what it means by the list files, I guess, the actual disk images. So you can load the games directly on the computer. Maybe I'll demonstrate, uploading Spelunker because I've got a copy to my SD card. And everything else here is kind of repetitive of what we went over. It just shows you the libraries or whatever. And like I said, this is still stuff I'm probably going to learn as I go along. But I just really want to introduce it to you, get a video out there. And because I'm also, excited about it. So next thing here, these are about the swap button where I was talking about going forward. See, it says the green LED flashes once and the red one flashes twice to indicate this process as it's moving forward or backward. But of course, when I'm clicking on them, when I got the thing in there, I'm not getting anything. But if I hold it, I know if I hold the button long enough, it goes into some kind of a sleep mode, which I didn't even see in the actual thing. If you hold it again, it turns it off, whatever that sleep mode is supposed to be. It probably, again, to be continued. It talks about, the auto swap file. So it gets into kind of some more of the technical stuff. I think this might be something to do with, he doesn't really explain it here much. He just says, okay, in the case of the auto swap file, placed in the SD adapter detects this and attaches automatically. It's operated by the buttons the way detailed above. But it's not relevant to what I'm doing right now, so I'm not bothering with that. Just to get my goals accomplished, I just wanted to know how to be able to access the directory. Because if you don't access the directory, you're not going to be able to copy anything and read it properly in Vice, because you have to be reading from that disk image. Like I said, we'll go over that here in just a second. I just want to make sure the red LED tells you when the SD card is in place. It's lit, and it's off when the card is not in place. So essentially, right now, mine is inserted. So I think it's probably maybe when you first turn it on or something. Because I plug it on and I plug it back in, and the light doesn't change at all. But I've already, I don't know. Maybe it's when you first turn it on. I haven't seen any change with that myself. Okay, and turbo operation, this talks about the turbo loading, which we won't go into because I'm not using turbo loading at this time. Verify, he says you can use this as like the regular verify built to make sure that the file was being saved or whatever properly on the disk. And let's see. This is the CBN file browser. This has already been demonstrated on YouTube a lot, but this is where you can actually scroll through the directory of games and load them directly from a file browser. And you can load them from, obviously, 128 to the VIC-20 to, the different kinds of Commodore 64 systems that were available. And I think that's pretty much it for that part. So let's swap over to Vice here. And you can already see in the background here, I've already got the same one in the background you see over here is now running on the desktop. So I was able to successfully get this working. Now, this was the main program I was looking for beyond all of the other programs. Why? Because we're in the machine language project right now. I'll talk about that for a little bit. And first I wanted to show you this, and we'll come back to this, and I'll explain why, what that's about. But that has something to do with the machine language project. So to stay consistent, let's go back over here in Device, and I'll demonstrate the command, which I'm going to put this on a separate screen to make sure I'm giving you the accurate information. So it's basically I'm just going through here and I'm just reading in the directory of where that disk image is stored right here, for example. So we're going to type that in and emulate it over here, even though we're not, pretend, like you said, we're over here on the Commodore 64. And this is what we normally would be typing on the Commodore 64. Now 1, comma, remember 10, because I have mine set to 10, for example, and then 15, and you set CD for the directory, and you type the word directory. Now it's not going to work down here. I just type this right because it says we're not connected to the unit or anything. We're on the desktop. But the example I have is I have a C64 prog 1 D64 file, and then you just close 1 like that. It probably will give me an error or something here. Let's see. Yes, a device not present because obviously we don't have that device hooked up here anywhere. Even if I went and I changed this to 8, it probably would still give me a strange error message. Let's see what it says this time. File not open because it's not going to see that file. But that's we're going to switch back out here for a second to get a little bit more technical here. Now, also notice it's sometimes hard to get that little SD card out. You've got to kind of have to push it. I have to push it in and out. I've heard the Ultimate 2 is a little bit even harder than that. So I'm kind of grateful that it's actually getting out that fast as it is. And I'm just plugging it back into my my SD reader here. It'll just open up a file mine just like that. And I'm using Windows 7. You may notice I downgraded Windows 10. That's another story. But anyways, here what it does is immediately load it up. These are all the directories I created directly here in Vice. Now, you saw the D64 up here. I'm just demonstrating this one right now, and I'll show you over here in a second. These are all the different directories I created, and here's the game directory for the Spelunker, the game that we're trying to emulate for the machine language project. And then these are just this is the disk image copier. Here's the CBM file browser from the actual website. And then this is just another one I created, C64 test. And I'll demonstrate. I've got several different programs in here already. If I don't make this video too long, we'll come back to it's already 27 minutes. Wow. So anyways, we're going to go over here to the device, and we're going to go to attach disk image, drive 8. I guess the next thing I'll do is we'll open up and use this to emulate another, to open up some of the files that I copied over. So we go here to the drive. In this case, mine is J. And you can see the C64 prog. I'm going to use this one because we already have this as an example up here. And these are some of the different ones that I've already copied in here. I don't know if you can see this. This is Telengard, which this one I found out maybe I copied wrong when it didn't work. It didn't load properly. I didn't test it on the regular system, but it didn't load properly in Vice. But it's a really, really cool game. It was a real popular and made, popularized on several different systems back in the days. And then this is one I created in college when I was first enrolled all the way back in 1994 when I was in Ohio. And this is one, we'll load this one. Actually, let's just go to the cash register just for now to show you this because I like this one. It was original simple cash register. You enter the price of the item you're purchasing. Let's say it's $25 or whatever. And what it's supposed to do, actually this probably doesn't work. I think it works under, let's just do $9. I guess it needed some work. It was only set to work. It basically takes the program and breaks them up into the actual how many pennies, dimes, quarters would make up that dollar or whatever. But it's just a simple little, probably stupid program. And anyways, you want to see the listing since people love seeing listings here. And I think I'll just swap this to big screen here since we're now emulating the Vice. I think that was the whole thing. And you can kind of see this is where it's reading in the quarter, the nickels, the dimes, and whatnot, and the pennies. And we'll go to the other one. So hopefully you understood that what I was doing earlier when I showed you that open command, it's basically setting the directory. So what it's doing is it's looking here to see, am I pointing at D64? Am I pointing at the disk image? You have to make sure it's pointing at the disk image. If it's not pointing at the disk image, it's not going to know where to read it. So, for example, you can't just copy it outside of a disk image. You can't copy it to, like, for example, let me see if I can just do that here. we're already here. You can't just copy it outside of a disk image file. I don't have an example where I could show you here, but if you copied it and you don't create like a disk image, which you can do right here by creating the image or whatever, and this would create, I could create another one, since I'll probably need this a second one. Let's create a 2 here. You'll see that appear there. So it appeared right underneath here. Right there, actually mine got screwed up there. But anyways, that's how you would create another image. So basically, you have to create a disk image to copy in the basic programs. And the people on my channel already know this, obviously, but there's people who may be watching this for the first time. If you want to know how to get your basic programs from your Commodore 64 to your desktop and vice, I'm showing you the steps right now. You have to attach and you have to create a disk image. Now, I said I created a poor example here because I left it over here or whatever. But you can rename these too. I think you might be able to do it from here. And actually, you can. I'll just go back in and rename it. And I'll just set it to 2. And that's what it's going to do. Now you've got your own brand new directory. Now notice as I click on these, you'll see these are the actual files I took from my computer here, and I now got them running inside of Vice. And then you'll see these are the file browser files, and these are the disk copy files, and here's the Spelunker game. You see Broderbund there, and of course the directory. So what you do is you just go in here like this. You can either attach it or you can run them directly here. I'm just going to attach this one to like the new ones here, and then we'll start going through some of these. So you can attach it like that, and I'll show you. And let me just clear this screen here for a second. Actually, I'm going to default this back to the regular desktop since I just want it to be standard. Okay, and then you're going to load string. Now remember, when you're doing your device, you wouldn't be using "8. This is what I wanted to show you. You'd be using "10 or whatever that number is showing you when I first showed you the LCD display. Whatever that number is showing next to the ready, you'll see it on the device. That's where you have to make sure you're pointing at the right device. And that's only if you have like more than one drive hooked up. So 10 won't work here because we're not running it inside of the system. But if I went over here, that's how I would be doing it directly on my Commodore. But since it's so miniaturized, I can't show you over there. So right there, we've got a directory. And you can see these are the files that I've already copied in. Now this was the very first one I did to test it. I just called it test 1. And when I first ran this, I knew it was going to work. I was like, SDrive 51 is so cool. And I totally agree with that statement. So it worked, and it just blew me away. I was like, this is what I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. I wanted to be able to take all the content, and a lot of the content I've got on this computer, move it to Vice C64, so you guys can get it when I put it up on GitHub. You can get access to all these files and look at them yourself. Including the one here I'll show you in the background if I don't end up forgetting to make this video too super long. This is actually going to be used behind the scenes to help me design the screens and recreate the screens we're going to use for the game, because it's a screen creator. It's basically a character editor. It can also create your own characters, and you can actually save screen copies, so it's really good that I created that back in the days. It's a little bit slow in its use, but it still works, so I'll demonstrate that here in a minute. And anyways, we go back in here, we can reload the directory again. And then we could just go to any one that I have on here. So here's a really fun one. This will Save the King. I've always wanted to show you guys these, but like I said, I couldn't get them off my computer, and I didn't feel like typing them. Oh, we got an error message on this one. Let's see. I do remember this one did have an error message. 828, 168, load 22 column format. So it's trying to load something that doesn't exist here. So I didn't even copy this from, so actually, we won't be able to use this one unless I just get rid of that line, and it's just going to be in standard format, or it might not run at all. Okay, anyways, screw that for now. So let's go and try something different and check out the other ones. So I'll show you one that I designed here. And I almost accidentally erased this earlier when I was trying to get the device to work. It's called Murder at High Ranch. This was one of my very first text adventures I ever created on a Commodore 64 before Quest for the Mad Bomber. This actually led me to creating Quest for the Mad Bomber. So it just kind of tells you you're in a field or whatever, and you can pick up objects on this. I think you can type inventory, and it shows you what you're holding and stuff like that. But not to go through the whole thing, but it's real standard. It's real basic. There's no pictures or anything in it. You just can navigate, and you have to catch this guy that's killed some people or something like that. This is called Murder at High Ranch. But that's just one simple program. Oops, stuck in here. And here's the listing for it. Again, I could still throw these on GitHub. I don't really want to waste a whole lot of time here. A lot of these concepts I used in my original game too. Okay, so let's get to another one. I'm going to switch colors here. Just to kind of demonstrate a few of them here. Now, some of these are really, really cool. Like, for example, this one is a space shuttle taking off. It's a Sprite example. Might take a moment to load this one, too. I might need to pause it if I remember. Let me just pause it for 39 seconds. Okay, so we're almost there. 1 second. A little bit loud. Turn my volume here a little bit. See the kind of launch off there. It's a simple animation for Space Shuttle. Has some sound effects in it. I would say that one was kind of cool when I first typed that one in. This one is, let me see here. The Zap Ball, this was one of the first games I ever created. We probably won't run that because it's kind of a real simple game. Nothing real too special. Lemonade, this was a pretty popular game back in the days. I'll show you one of the other ones I created was a Starfield 3. I just realized I don't have my controller hooked up, so I'm not going to be able to play these. Kind of a title screen I created for it. Oh, you know what? This is actually the second level to the game. So it creates like a little menu at the bottom, and you can navigate them around. This one needs some work. Anyways, I was trying to make that into some kind of a spaceship game. Let's turn off the sprites here. I guess I'll just show you one more. I like this one because the music is really cool in this one. Oh. And then I'll move over and I'll show you the other one I was working on there for the Mission English project. Something got messed up with the sprite. It's supposed to say Demon's Lair. Music just does the same thing over and over again. And the spacebar is not working. It's a pretty simple basic graphics, so we won't really go into the game. I just wanted to show you that's how we get them. And I was able to successfully copy them from my Commodore 64 to my desktop to run in Vice. So this is the one I've really been waiting on. I've tried several times to type this in and get it to work, and because of the way the screen formatting is and all that, I couldn't get it to work. Took a lot of work just trying to get the characters, and that's just another explanation of itself. But anyways, it's got a character font maker, so if you press 1, you can go here and you can create your own. It basically shows you the characters that are behind the Petaxi characters that are built directly inside of the Commodore 64 there. And you can sit there and you can scroll through it, and I probably be better hook up my joystick here for a second. Okay, I'm back, and yep, I got the joystick hooked up now, or the Xbox controller. So I can just basically cycle through letters here, and I've demonstrated this program before, so you can kind of see it's got standard mode here versus multicolor. And if I just press, you know, a button, whenever I press a button, it's going to emulate that character I have in the other window here. So here's the asterisk, for example. If I press my button, it'll just redraw the asterisk. I said I've showed this one before, but I really couldn't get it, the screen loader to work, so I'm going to show that to you. Because this is going to be the core of, you know, creating the proper screens that I'm going to use. Now, I know this can all be done inside the CBM PRG Studio, and we'll go to that later, but this is what I'm going to use to model after getting the design I'm looking for. So anyways, I'm going to go back to the main screen here by clicking, I think it's top menu, or T. Yep, takes me back there. And then I just press number, is it character font maker? Number 2. That's it. So here, and I don't have a good example here, since I'll show you on the Commodore 64 over here. You probably won't see it very well here, but so let me move my camera over here a little bit. You probably won't see it, but I'll go right to the screen there real quick, and I'll press number 2, like you'll see this kind of a similar screen we're on right now. And if I press the L key, it'll load in the screen there, because I won't be able to show you on here, because I don't have the file here where I could show it to you. You can kind of see it's loaded in. You won't be able to see it, but it's loaded in some kind of a background. So what I can do inside of here anyways, I can go in here and I can just like press my button here like this, and I can press my button like this, and I select the character. These are different modes, and I can start drawing. And then you can see up here where it says A, I can save the screen in this section here, and it's basically going to allow you to build character sets, and I can use this to start emulating my games and stuff like that. Okay, I'm back. That was quite a long recess. Actually, what I had to do is I had to copy. I used a disk copier, which is actually built directly into the file that you download from the website. And I was able to copy all the files directly from my disk now. So I learned how to use a disk copier over directly into, you know, Vice or whatever. So anyways, I'm going to demonstrate this now and show you what I was trying to show you earlier when I didn't have those files in there. But I'll show you real quickly here. So I go here to attach disk image drive 8. And I click on this one. This is a directory I created, C64 game tk.d64, or for Game Masters Toolkit. You can see I copied all the files directly in here. So these are all directly copied from my original Commodore 64 over to the desktop. So pretty cool. Now if I go in here, this is the character editor, and if I press the L key, you can see it loads in a graphical screen here. So if I press the escape key here, whoops, actually that killed my, let's do that again. I didn't mean to do the escape key. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. Oh, so number 2. And then we're going to say L. And it was this one. I think that was the one I was supposed to press. Oh no, that's the one that changes the colors. I haven't used this thing in so long. Excuse me, I got so caught up on this, I realized I just needed to press the controller on my, controller here. Now I'm actually inside of the editor where I could go in and I could change any of these screens if I wanted to. And I could start, you know, drawing in here, erasing. So yeah, I could go in here and I could save this, and I could use this to, like, you know, inside the game itself. You see I just erased it here. If I press the L key, of course, again, it's just going to reload it. Oh, actually, I got to go back to the menu there. Oh, anyway, and if you press like the blue one here, I think it is, this one allows you to go over top of it so you don't erase anything. And yeah, this was just some of the things I had in here. So I'm going to show you one more thing here now that I got all the files in here. The Sprite editor, which is number 3, and if I hit L, it'll load in the Sprite. That's the Sprite that I actually created there. You see it kind of draws it over there. But the whole purpose wasn't to show you the program. It was to show you that, you know, once again, the D64, if you don't have it, I recommend to go out and buy yours today. So yeah, I wish I had more time to show you the disk copier, which is in the background here. But anyways, I really couldn't demonstrate it since you're never going to be able to see the screen over here. But I learned how to use it, so I can copy disks now. And if you have any questions about it, you can ask me. But yeah, go ahead and get your copy today. Once again, the SDrive 1564 there, really cool with the LCD display and everything. You can kind of see there, it kind of showed me there was copy in my directory over there, and it finished. So, yep, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, favorite, subscribe to this channel as always. About the machine language project, we'll have to put that on hold until we figure out what's going on with Siggy, or whether somebody else wants to join the project and maybe continue on a different place. I'm just going to be hopeful and say that, you know, he'll find time to come back and we'll get this going again soon. If not, I'm going to have to come up with something different. So we'll just see, and we'll kind of play it by ear. Thanks for watching always. Like I said, definitely subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I really need those subscriptions. My dream is to really get this channel off the ground if that was ever possible, and just sit home one day and making Commodore 64 videos for a living. But anyways, you guys rock. Take care.